Put your hands together for This Is Pop Baby welcome for Transmission Panty.
There's really no need, although I commend you on your great taste, because it's true, I am fucking gorgeous. And I can already tell you're all easily amused and believing that it's quality I've long admired in a drunk audience, so well done. We're going to get on beautifully, I can tell. And I know I just want to point out that this whole festival business and grass and tents and drag and heels aren't easy bedfellows, so it is quite remarkable that I'm still this gorgeous. But you know, you should see me in regular circumstances. I'm even more beautiful, if you can believe that. We're going to chat to a few people over the next 55 minutes or so and have a few musical guests. And remember, you are on camera here, so I would really love it if you'd really fake your enthusiasm as big as possible. It's a telling thing. The camera adds pounds, but it takes away a lot of enthusiasm. And we're going to get started. And my first guest, well actually I want to first of all briefly introduce you to my PA, the lovely Bunny. Bunny, can I understand how gorgeous you are? Hi Bunny. Bunny is young and gorgeous, so technically I hate her, but it's hard to hate somebody this simple. Bunny got the job as my PA after an 11-week grueling contest to choose somebody who would make me look good. And she does a beautiful job, so thank you, Bunny. Bunny's going to be just helping out people coming in and off. She has an incredible ass, doesn't she? Almost this good. Anyway, our first guest is somebody who came to our attention as 1/3 of the presenters of How Low Can You Go? Now there's a gay in amongst those three, and I always thought it was this one, but apparently I've been misinformed. Please welcome Baz. Tall man, it makes me look reasonably sized. Makes yourself comfortable, Baz. And first of all, Baz, what the hell kind of name is that?
I'm called Basil.
Is your actual name Basil? Baz is short for Basil?
People call me Barry though, which I like. It's better than Basil.
And I take it that you're a bit of a hippy-dippy type, so this whole festival thing is right up your alley, right?
Yeah, I love electric picture.
And the whole How Low Can You Go? How low have you gone?
I go pretty low. I do my part for the whole low thing. Yeah, no, we do whatever. Anything, pretty much.
And how did you meet the other two guys? The little gay fella, that's the blonde one, Mark, I think, that's right. And then what's the other straight fella called? Michael. Michael. Did you know them before that?
No, I just met them when we started the show.
There was like auditions or something. So this whole camaraderie and friendship is totally fake.
No, we're good friends now, like, because if you're traveling with someone for like 3 or 4 months, it's like, you just bond with them, you hear all their stories, you get sick of listening to them bullshitting on, and you just, after a while, you're just like, unfortunately, you just become friends. But they're good boys, so I love them, so it's all good.
No, because I'm sure this isn't the first time you've heard this, but there is a bit of a bang of gay off you. So, I always assumed that
there is actually, now you mention it.
I know. But that normally helps with the ladies, doesn't it? It's a weird thing that, I mean, I would have much more sex if I was straight.
I'm a hetero-metro, man. That's how we're roll.
You have done something that very few, sober straight guys have ever done.
I wasn't sober.
You have gone to a gay sauna. Because I saw that on How Low Can You Go. For those of you who are really innocent and don't get out much, a gay sauna is like a place that has like steam rooms and showers and stuff, but then upstairs or downstairs, wherever, it depends. I mean, I've never actually been to one, but I've been told about it. They have like cabins and cubicles where, you see somebody, he likes you and you like him, you can just go off and have sex. It's like prostitutes, except because there aren't any women involved, you don't have to pay for it.
It's great. It's really good. As soon as you walk in, they ask you, do you want lube and condoms? Anywhere they ask you if you want lube and condoms is pretty good, in my opinion.
But that had to be a little bit fake, because on the show, they went into a gay sauna and there's a camera following around. Now, obviously I've never been to one, but I imagine that they don't normally allow TV crews into gay saunas, so there are people walking around in towels.
That was real. They were like little gay dolphins. And they're just cheeks, a lot of cheeks, and then you just We were supposed to, I didn't actually get in. I was a bit frightened.
You didn't get in where? I saw
Into
you
the Solomon. I keep
you
doing that,
on the
don't I?
corridors.
Yeah, no, I just hung around the corridors. That's
Okay.
my style.
Nobody took your fancy or anything.
No.
But you know, not many
Or
straight
when
guys
you
get
drunk to
into
be doing
something
this?
like that. Are you drunk already?
I'm a little bit drunk. Someone only napped me about half an hour ago, so it's a bit, they're all looking at me. It's a bit intimidating.
That's because you're so handsome, chicken. And the other thing, of course, that recently we've seen you doing is presenting Faulty Towers.
Oh, fuck off.
So would you like to take a moment? Would you like to take a moment to apologize?
Sorry.
People.
Sir, I have rent and it's high, and I need to pay it, and you fuckers aren't going to give it to me, so I'm sorry for doing that. I sold out completely. Sorry.
You've all done it, And that had some upsides, because you got to meet BB Baskin. One of my favorite ever is when Jerry Ryan was doing like a phone-in thing about where you'd like to get buried, and some guy from the country goes in, calls in and says, Jerry, I'd like to be buried up in me bollocks and BB Baskin.
I have to say, BB has the best voice I've ever heard in my life. It's very sultry and seductive, and honestly, she's cool. I like BB. She's nice.
She seems to be a bit of a nut, right? Because she went off to India and opened like a teepee or something.
Yeah, I like BB though. She gets a lot of hard shit. I think she's cool. So
Does she get
so
hard shit?
not hard, but stodgy, festival shit. For those of you who know, if you've been to any of the toilets here, you know.
And Baz, do you have a significant other? And you're avoiding gender stereotyping.
Yeah, I do actually.
Oh, is
That's the first time I've ever said that.
Is she here?
No. So I'm available to fuck anyone. No, she's not here.
Is it a new relationship?
Yeah, kind of.
And is she only into you because you're famous?
Probably. But I take what I get. That's my attitude. Yeah. Hell yeah.
And you're doing a new series of How Low Can You Go, but I suspect that this is slightly different because it's more like a mockumentary style than documentary, is that right?
Yeah, like when we do How Low, we get to do these stupid stuff that you wouldn't do unless someone was paid you to do it. So, this series we want to do that again, but we needed something different, so we thought we'd do a kind of mockumentary of our lives, come back to Ireland, and it's fabricated to make these things. We say, for example, we wanted Michael to stick his hand up a cow's ass, and we needed a story to go along with that, so that's what we did. We built little stories around these events that we wanted to happen.
You see, I know that it's fake because I got a call from your production office asking me if I would play like this tranny stripper who would jump out of a cake or something at a party and get off with the other straight guy, Michael.
Yeah.
And obviously I was horrified at the very thought because my stripping days are far behind me.
Yeah.
But so I called up my friend Davina,
Yeah.
who's younger and sluttier than I am,
Yeah.
and I said, these kids from RTE want you to be a total slut and get off with a straight guy. And of course she jumped at the chance of that.
Yeah.
And
Met her.
Yes, she did it, because I noticed you had a little moment out there earlier on.
Yeah.
And how did Michael react to that? Because
He
Davina
enjoyed
told me she drank some tequila beforehand, and they hadn't really discussed the whole kissing bit, so Davina just went for it and tongued him.
They just tongue?
Well, that's all she would admit to, but I suspect maybe a little finger banging.
Something was a banging. That's all I know.
And so, apart from that, are we going to be seeing you doing any other stuff? I mean, in sort of a way, I think you're becoming like an Irish version of the Badass Boys or something. You'll do fucking anything.
Yes. No, we just want to do stuff that people will laugh at for half an hour. We don't really give a shit what it is, but as long as people watch it, kind of like chewing gum TV, where you just watch it and then you're just happy to forget about it half an hour later. Cheese toasty, that's what it is. Just nice for that moment. So we're happy to do that. You know?
And now, of course, your face is all over the telly all the time. Has things changed for you? If you're walking to the festival here, is it a total pain in the ass?
No, like everyone here is so nice. Everyone's just been
They are so lovely here.
I don't know what it is. It's like a mixture. It's like a mixture of drugs and just nice people. Like if you go to Oxygen, some fucker will rob your ovary if you're not looking. While here, it's just everyone's on a really nice vibe, and everyone's just, it's not even about music, you can kind of just wander around and fall into it. I love it, it's my favourite festival, it's the best. I love it.
It's true, there are not many places where someone like me can wander around in the middle of the night through forest paths and all of that, and not have people throw shit at you.
No, people... That's a website, but no, it's just here, like, people are just, they're just themselves, and everyone slags Irish people off after changing after the Celtic Tiger and they were moody and not as friendly as you are, and you come here and just, everyone's just fucking rock and roll. I love it, I just think it's great, man. I love it.
You seem to fit right into the vibe here, Bad. Bad, it's been absolutely lovely to meet you. Put your hands together. That's really adorable. We're going to have a slight musical break here, so I want you then to welcome somebody who's just released his third album called Opium, and he's going to do a song from that. It's the cherub face, Mr. Mark Geary. Hi, Mark. You can bring a bit of class to the proceedings, I hope.
Cherub face, yeah. How's it going, Electric Picnic? What a fucking beautiful room here.
It is a beautiful room. I'll just echo that sentiment. Although you could have mentioned how beautiful I was, but I'll let that slide.
That was a given, that was a given. So I was told to say something about this song because I played earlier and nobody gave a shit. So this is a song called Angel, and it's a kind of a love song, but it's an Irish love song, which means the windows get kicked in and the cops get called, and 3 o'clock in the morning, and somebody's on the phone to Joe, talk to Joe. Now you're old and you're wise. All you feel, you feel. I know your insides from the inside, and I'm chained since then. An angel. If you love this, let's try harder. Let me in. An angel, if you want this, I'll try harder. Let me win. Now there's no surprise. All you feel, you're chained. I know your insides. You hold the knife right, and I'm chained since then. An angel, if you want this, I'll try harder to let you in. Baby, you hold me all night. The place was blood red. You done me in. An angel, let's try hard. If you want this, let me in. Angel, let's try hard. And like my father, I have sinned. 'Cause I don't learn good, I won't learn good, and I won't learn I won't learn.
So much more. That is the closest I've gotten laid. Closest I've gotten to get laid at this event. I know Louis Walsh is out here in the audience, so fingers crossed, Mark! He has the xFactor. If you're anything like me, you're a woman of a certain age, then perhaps that petrol emotion were a big part of the soundtrack to your 80s. And they were for me anyway. So I'm particularly happy to welcome as my next guest the front man to that petrol emotion. Please be extremely warm to Mr. Steve Mack. How are you, Jamie? Make yourself comfortable.
I'm a bit overwhelmed, actually.
Why?
Because I got stuck in an eco something or other over there trying to get here and I couldn't get out.
Bloody hippies.
Yeah, well, in this case, I was let me out, please. I need to go see Panti.
And, excuse me, this festival is really doing me in. And not in a good way. I mean, when I was of a certain age, that petrol emotion were, you know, part of just the background to everything, you know, as a student and all of that. But then you just disappeared for 14 years.
Yeah,
Why? What happened, or?
Well, strange thing happens. You form a band, and then 11 years later, everybody has babies and wives and husbands and things, and then 2 members say we're quitting. Then it all went horribly wrong. We're like, no! And they went, yes, we're quitting. So we took an extended break, and about 2 years ago, everybody and his uncle was reforming, and so I came over here for work, and I mentioned to the guys, come on, you know you want to play again. And it took about 2 years of arm twisting, and finally when the Electric Picnic called us up and said, please come play, we said, fantastic, this is exactly what we needed.
So playing here at the Electric Picnic is, you know, they're your first gigs in 14 years.
Yes.
And how's it gone?
Outstandingly well, if I may say so myself.
So this is a long time, are you?
Yeah, ask them. How are we? It's fantastic.
I know, it should be, I guess. But I guess it must be a worry reforming after all that time. You know, is things going to be the same? Are you going to get on the way you used to? You know, has it been good, all good?
Well, we always knew from day one that we were going to argue, as we always did. I mean, that comes without saying. But you sort of, it's the idea, if you throw a party and nobody comes, you know, when you're worried about, well, what if, you know, because nowadays, at work, people introduce, it's Steve Mack, he was in a band called That Petrol Emotion, and all the young kids go, yeah.
Yes, the kids have no memories, but I think people over 30 have good memories of those.
I would agree. And it was so heartwarming and fantastic. When we got on, before we got on stage, the place was virtually empty, and within 10 minutes we got in there, and it was stuffed to the rafters. And honestly, I wanted to cry.
You had an actual feeling.
I did. And then we rocked. But for a moment there, I wanted to cry. Cry, then rock.
Now, in your heyday, if I can put it that way, you were a very energetic stage performer, and if my memory serves me correct, I've seen you bare-chested on a number of occasions, sweating up a storm. I mean, like all of us, you're a little older than you were. Is that still your vibe?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, that was, if truth be known, one of the reasons we wanted to get back together is spending 14 years watching boring bands. And just wanted to get up there and say, this is the way it's done. You play music because you love it, because you have a passion. If you're playing music and you're not dancing to it, then why do you expect us to dance to it? You get up there, you shred the stage, you take no prisoners. Otherwise, go home.
Oh my God, I think I'm going deeply in love with you. And so does this mean, I mean, have you gotten this far in your sort of relationship again? You're going to do a new album or anything like that, or?
Now. Easy. This was a gentle toe in the water, a very gentle toe, and we knew we were coming into very familiar and very friendly waters. Ireland is the softest landing for us because we always loved it here, and we got so many great fans here. So, we're going to go home, we're going to talk to our wives, children, husbands, everything, and go, now what? But judging by the amount of fun we've had in the last week, signs are looking good.
Because for the younger kids here, maybe I'm oversimplifying here, but that petrol emotion were essentially the undertones without Fergal Sharkey in a sense. That's right?
Sort of. I think the Rolling Stone in the US put it best. He said we're Creedence crossed with the Clash.
Okay. But so, for that 14 years, what were you doing?
I was doing internet stuff. I wrote books. Actually, the company I worked for, our biggest customer, we couldn't talk about because they were doing things that we couldn't speak to our customers about. But I do audio and video online, and I wrote a bunch of books, and now people in airports go, Steve Mack, and I go, yes. They go, you wrote that book on audio, and I'm like,
you're a nerd. And so you became a dweeb essentially. You became a nerd.
Always was.
And then finally you just couldn't handle it anymore. Was it something you were enjoying, or it was you were just filling in time, and then you thought, I got to get back to my first love?
Well, when we started off, when we first started broadcasting audio on the internet, the company I worked for was the first company that ever did that. And I remember we were doing some experiments. We were working with the BBC, and we got it all working. And I was listening to John Peel in Seattle, Washington, at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I again, a little tear. I'm listening to John Peel in Seattle, Washington. It was a great thing to do. It was a great place to work. And as time went on, the company got big, and everybody discovered the internet, and it kind of got boring. But funny story. After the company had been going about 3 or 4 years, they said, well, we need to have a conference and explain to everybody how this works. Could you do a little something where you explain how the internet works? And I'm like, yeah. So, big audience, 3,000 or 4,000 people, and I'm up there doing my thing, and afterwards the president goes, you're quite good in front of people. Thank you. Yeah, I've played once or twice.
And obviously you're American, I guess you all spotted that. But you're from a band that are essentially a big bunch of Northern Paddies. I mean, how's that?
There's so much Irish in the US that it was a natural fit. I mean, I always consider myself Cinderella because I'm working in a stupid London restaurant, bussing tables, and I was about to quit. And literally, a week before I was going to send my notice in, a waitress said, I have some friends that are looking for a singer in a band. Okay, I want to sing. You can't sing. Well, I can learn. Met them. They love the Stooges, they love the Buzzcocks, they used to be the Undertones. Everything about it was perfect, and if I hadn't been working in that stupid restaurant at that particular point in time, this never would have happened, so it's a Cinderella story.
Well, the catering industry's loss is our game. Please give it up for Steve Mack! I'm tempted to ask you to take your shirt off before you go. Not bad for a 40-whatever-year-old. The next guest is somebody that I am super excited to have because I have been a fan for a long time. And then I sort of got to know him a little bit over the years, and it turned out that we have a lot in common because he's a drunk slut as well. He's come all the way from New York to be here at the Electric Picnic. If you caught any of his shows over the last few days, I'm sure you are totally blown away like all of us trannies were. Please put your hands together for Mr. Justin Bond. Did anybody see Justin's show earlier today? Doesn't she rock? Hi Justin. Hi gorgeous. I'm alright. Not as gorgeous as you, I have to say, but I have to say it. And the first thing I do want to ask you about is, I knew you, of course, from your cabaret shows and from your Kiki and her collaboration and all of that. But then, of course, last year, Short Bus comes out. Did any of you see Short Bus? And what's amazing to me is suddenly, I assume in your schedule, that wasn't a huge thing. You've done millions of things over the years. This was another thing you were doing. And suddenly you're the guy from Short Bus. I mean, has that changed things for you?
Well, it was a nice thing that happened for me, A, because I love the movie, and it was fun to be in the movie, and most of the people in the movie were my friends, so it's kind of like a little time capsule of our lives, and it was during the blackout in New York, and I was in New York for the blackout, but also having toured around as Kiki for so many years, that was something that I was focusing on, because one thing led to another. We did off-Broadway, and then we did Carnegie Hall, and then Broadway, and Carnegie Hall again. So everyone just knew me as Kiki, so it was nice to be able to be reintroduced to the public as myself, because, you know,
I mean,
that's who I am.
Is that why you put Kiki and her aside to be yourself, in a sense?
Well, I guess. I mean, we did Kiki and her for 15 years, and then after we you know, did Broadway, and we were nominated for a Tony, and then when we did Carnegie Hall the second time, I hadn't really planned it, but that second Carnegie Hall show was sort of a magical, amazing night, and then when I started to take stock, I just thought, well, what else do I really want to do with Kiki that I haven't already done? So I just decided to set up some new challenges for myself, and so I've been touring around, and I'm writing songs now, and I'm performing with Our Lady J a lot, and I'm just having a great time. So it's a nice change of pace, because Kiki was so intense that it got to be a little bit of a psychic drain after a while.
I mean, I think sometimes if you're doing a character like Kiki, it can sort of limit you, because there are certain things about you that you can't express, because that's you and not Kiki.
Right.
So is being Justin Bond sort of freer in that way?
It is, because Kiki's like one slice of the pie that's me, but I like to think of myself as a smorgasbord. There's so much more to offer.
And of course, the songs you do now are much more personal than they were when you were doing Kiki and her.
And also, I sang with a character voice for all those years, so it was a little frustrating, because, you know, I like to sing, and it's just a totally different thing.
And so your songs now, I mean, where are they all coming from? They're about your life and your friends, or?
My life, my friends, my sort of witchiness, and writing in a sort of like place where it's kind of like really personal and a little embarrassing, but that makes it fun.
Well, what I love about your songs is they're so fearless. I mean, you don't hold anything back from us, do you? We get to know quite a lot about you.
Yeah, I really don't have a filter, no.
And of course, you're from New York, or you just live here?
I'm from Maryland. I'm from a sort of the mountains of Western Maryland. So I left there as soon as I could. You know, as soon as I graduated from high school, I got the hell out of there.
Well, all the drags are attracted to the big cities, aren't they?
Yeah, the glamour.
But nowadays you spend a lot of time in London. I mean, how did that come about?
I moved to London, I guess it was 3 years ago, after I did my show off-Broadway. Well, actually, after the first Carnegie Hall gig, I was in London 4 days later at St. Martin's College for pursuing my master's. I did Carnegie Hall 1 week, and a week later I was standing in lunch at the in line at lunch in the International Students' Luncheon, eating a frozen samosa, and I thought, oh my God, what have I done? I made a huge mistake. But I really wanted to be in London because I loved it. But after a year and a half, I was ready to go home.
And it seems to me that your audience base is really expanding in the last couple of years, because of course, at first it was the gays who discovered you, and then, you know, now like a virus, you're spreading.
Ooh.
And do you find, you know, is that more interesting to you?
Well, yes, but I don't think it's necessarily always been, it's pretty much been a mixed audience from the get-go. I mean, because when we were doing Kiki and Herb in the early 90s in San Francisco, we were doing kind of lounge acts of rock songs, and so we had a pretty mixed audience even back then. So, yeah, I just, you know, I always use that expression queer because it's all-encompassing of anyone who's got a little bit of a freak inside them, so I don't think it's necessarily limited to someone's sexuality. I guess we just appeal to freaks.
That's my audience. And how do you find coming here? Because I know that abroad, Ireland has this reputation for being quite small-minded. They have that sort of 1950s impression. Whereas I always find that, you know, if I'm wandering around the streets of Dublin, you know, going from one gig to another or something, dressed like this, you know, it's incredibly rare that anything as bad is said. Most people just shout, "Fair play to you." I mean, how do you find it here?
Well, I think it's great. I mean, I've only been here since Friday, but I mean, walking around the fields of Electric Picnic with Lady J, I was pretty sure we were going to be raped, and I'm sure most of those men weren't gay.
I've been taking Rohypnol all weekend. I still haven't been raped. And you've been working with Lady J. How long was this? The first time I'd met her?
We started to work together about a year and a half ago. I was scheduled to play this gig in Philadelphia, and this guy who was booking it, who was promoting it, told me he had a band for me, and so the day I was being picked up that they came to pick me up to drive me to Philadelphia, I got in this white van, and there was Lady J, and she was my band. And it worked out pretty well, because she is like a band on the keyboard.
I totally fell in love with her when she was walking across the fields with Zeta, another drag queen you may be familiar with, and then she sort of politely says to Zeta, "I'm sorry, I don't mean this in a bad way. Would you walk a little ahead of me or a little behind me? Because with you, I am never going to pass."
She was like, "Those queens are going to get me spooked."
Now you're in Ireland for a few more days, because I know you're performing at the George in Dublin on Wednesday night. And on Friday evening, you took your time getting here because you were in the Abbey.
Yeah,
but
they
you
asked
weren't
me to do a
singing,
talk.
What were you talking about?
Oh, well, he just did a Q&A, and I was just, you know, talking about myself, something I'm very comfortable doing. Yeah, I just sort of had an interesting, well, I say it's interesting because obviously I was the one that was speaking. But Dominic from the Abbey asked me questions, I guess because An Ideal Husband is playing there, and the theme is being able to say something horrible but in a very funny way, and evidently I'm good at that.
I can vouch for that, you are. And it's been a total thrill and pleasure for me to talk to Justin. Please say thank you to Justin Bond. If you're in Dublin on Wednesday, go on the door for UAG. We'll be doing their totally fabulous thing. And after that, it's time to get a little more heterosexual, because I know there are some of you here. My next two guests, one of them, of course, I knew for a long time as a well-known Irish DJ, and the other is a well-known Irish chef, and recently they seem to be battling it out to become foodie king. So please say hi to Mr. Billy Scurry and Troy Maguire. Both of these guys at different times over the years. And I stumbled across you at parties on numerous occasions. Oh yeah, have you ever been tested? Tested? Tested, I hope. I have to apologize to Billy too, because I used to DJ in the smoking area outside the Dragon.
It wasn't really DJing.
Yes, it was. I was on party tracks. I think they're loud as possible, keeping him awake all night. But I just thought, you're Billy Scurry, you're a DJ, you've been annoying residents for years on end. It's about time you got a taste of your own medicine delivered by Miss Dolly Parton and her greatest hits.
Thank you. And it was delivered.
So you two have just come from doing a cooking demonstration in the Body and Soul. And please don't ruin my illusion. Please tell me there was some spit roasting involved.
There wasn't. There were crabs involved.
What were you cooking?
Last night.
What were you cooking?
We were asked to do a demonstration which neither of us felt comfortable with, so what we used the time to do was to showcase for Irish suppliers and get food from them and cook it and send out, like, it was originally supposed to be 5, but I came back from the holidays and it was 12 dishes. But yeah, so we use it as a vehicle for them, for people to see their projects as opposed to standing there and telling people to start by blanching 3 nipples. So I did.
Those bloody hippies again.
Oh yeah, goddamn you.
Now Troy, of course, you're just steeped in food. Troy, of course, is responsible for the process of the guillotine. Am I pronouncing that correctly? The guillotine. But then you abandoned them and went off to work in locks. Well, that's the way everyone else reads it. But Billy, you were a DJ, are a DJ, and have been for years, and everybody knew you as Billy Scurry, the DJ.
Right pronunciation?
I know, I'm getting my Sheriff Street on. Because you have exploded all the stereotypes about Sheriff Street. You know, you like to blanch nettles and, you know, all that kind of stuff.
I still get the landscapers in to do it again.
And are you easing yourself out of the DJing trade, or no?
No, not really. You can't do it for 5, 6 nights a week. I'm getting old. I'm bald, as you can see.
It's not as glamorous as people think.
No, it just went different ways, I suppose, to became quite ubiquitous. It was everywhere. It was on TV. And it just wasn't what originally I started out doing, and I suppose even I was part of that as well. But I decided to pull back just a little bit because I was getting tired, and I was getting tired of it. So when I said it became a job, I'd stop, and then ended up getting a real fucking job.
And like Troy, you've always been about good food, and you've opened lots, and that's been a great success. I mean, is that where you're heading? And is Billy going to be in your pants?
His pants.
Well, because when I meet you two, it's almost like your little boyfriends. I mean, you go on holidays together to check out restaurants abroad and stuff, right? I mean, that just seems so gay to me.
It is actually.
I love it. And where did we last meet together? Separately, but together.
I've never been to me. Well, no, where was the last one?
I'll give you directions.
He goes away on holidays an awful lot, and I'm generally...
He walks a lot. I go
You
away.
have a real job.
I just 9 to 5.
Billy, if you were on death row, what would your last meal be, and what would you be listening to?
It's supposed to be a snack box, and I'll be outside. I'll be outside around with too. Listen to the Fergie's not the show you over each other.
I love Roma 2, don't knock it.
Me too.
Second only to Charlie's 3.
Roma 1.
Where's Roma 1?
Ooh.
It's a
The home of the morning
movie all these years. And Troy, like when you're out and about, are you just always thinking about food? Because I'm not a real foodie. It's a horrible thing to say to you people, but I'm all about food as fuel. I like my food to be brown and warm, and that's all I care about.
No peanuts, no.
No peanuts. But Troy, you're like a total foodie nut. Like, has that always been the way? Were you like a gay kid cooking tarts with your mother? No. I'm using gay in a broad sense. I know you don't actually stick it in fellas. Although you got a little warm with me on one occasion, late at night. A lot of drink had been taken. I think he went through his experimental phase with me, as so many of these boys do. And who could blame them? So is food your only interest?
Microphone.
No. Yeah, okay, well I'll leave it at that then.
He's also into knitting.
Well, Billy, it's obvious just to look at you that you enjoy your food, and that's not enough. Because as you know, I can be so hot, and you bring out the chaser in me.
What do you mean?
And then I would do Billy in a second. Well,
I guess.
25 seconds.
Good foreplay.
And what campsite are you staying in? Are you staying somewhere nice, or are you staying in one of the favelas? The Jimi Hendrix or the Chocolate Hotel? You're staying in a hotel? Get the posh, I swear. You're not getting the whole festival experience. I'm living in a tent, having to get up in the morning after the exertions of the night before. Yes, where all the Chinese live. Somebody says, excuse me, where do the Chinese live? And we live in the boutique camping, thank you very much. And you have to get up and in a tent you have to apply this face, and it takes 2 hours of real concentration while you're sweating. I haven't had a shower in 2 days. I've just had the Bombay wash with the baby wipes.
KFC.
So I know from your distance I look incredible, but I think these people here can smell me a little. Well, some of that is coming off Billy. Anyway, as always, it's always a treasure and a joy to speak to you kids. I wasn't kidding when I said I've had a crush on them both for so long, and we'll explore that later. Don't have a few more drinks. Get a few more drinks in you.
Of course.
Give it up for Billy and Troy! If you put some glitter in that beer, you'd be just perfect. Anyway, that's about our 55 minutes. I hope you enjoyed yourself. But you have to show your ass one more time. She's silent but deadly. And I hope you learned something. I've definitely learned a lot. And so until the next time you see us, you're lying in a pool of our own drool outside Centra on Dame Street. Remember, look after yourselves and each other. Thank you very much. Thank you.